Hello, good morning. It is Morning Coffee with Steve, episode 212 for Friday? Yes, Friday, November 1st, 2024. I'm Steve Saylor. This is your daily gaming show of accessibility news, gaming news, accessibility news, and updates about my life. I have Starbucks cold brew coffee today. Because once again, didn't buy coffee yesterday. Anywho, I hope you had a good Halloween. I actually did. Here's the thing about me and Halloween. I don't usually do much, if at all, anything for Halloween. It's kind of generally just been just a normal day for me. Not necessarily like due to any particular reason of I just don't want to celebrate it or I don't believe in it, whatever. It's just, it never interested me that much. As a kid growing up in a Christian household, we didn't celebrate Halloween. So we didn't have the getting costumes, going out and getting candy from strangers at different houses. We had, growing up in the church, we had, they called them Hallelujah, what was it? Hallelujah nights? I think it was something like that. Yeah, instead of a Halloween, it was Hallelujah night, and you dress up as sometimes you dress up as a Bible character, and then you go to a church parking lot, and basically you just kind of get candy that way. And then eventually just turned into where my family, we would go to my grandparents' place, and we turn off all the lights and go downstairs and watch a movie. And we basically my grandparents gave my brother and I, eventually my sister, brother, and I candy. And we ordered pizza, and that was our Halloween. And honestly, I kind of preferred that. It kind of made more sense to me. It's like, why would I want to go outside in the cold just to get candy when I can just go to my grandparents and they give me candy anyway? So that was that. Anywho, yesterday I actually had a pretty good day. I got to do, for those who don't know, I had a special Halloween episode of Dungeons and Disableds. You can be able to go to dungeonsanddisableds.com, or I'll put a link into the episode on YouTube in the show notes. It was really cool. It was a really cool episode that I was starring Ashlina. And if you don't know her, she's an amazing streamer, but also is the guild leader for the Latin Guild, the Twitch Latin Guild, and she's an amazing player. And it just, honestly, this has probably been my favorite one of single episode of it of the show. There was an energy in that room when we were playing, like a legitimate, it was electrifying, like you could feel it. So definitely recommend checking out that episode. And then also I got to go with my friends to an escape room that was downtown Toronto. I'll show a quick little kind of it, or at least through my phone. It's not it doesn't really show anything, doesn't really spoil anything, but you kind of see let it focus. It was basically just a tiny room, but it had a whole bunch of different sort of stuff in it. And here I am going into the into the room that basically opens up a big giant steamer trunk, and inside is a bunch of treasure, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we all got dressed up. I dressed up in the same sort of outfit as I wore for the Call of Duty launch party, basically 90s Canadian kid wearing the Canadian tuxedo. And actually, I can even there's a picture of all of us after we had won. So so going from left to right. Oh, let it focus. Going from left to right is my friend Carrie and Riley. They dressed up as Spinelli and I'm forgetting his name, but basically they're dressed up as characters from Recess. Then there's me. Then there's my friend Aaron, aka Caboose. He is Dr. Doom. He had a custom costume made. And then beside, actually in the back is my friend Steve. He had those inflatable costumes. It was basically Raptar. And then my friend Angelica, she was the Glam Reaper. And then in front of her is Emily. She was kind of like a basically Lord of the Rings sort of elf. Yeah, that was us. After we had won, we escaped the room, which we were very happy about. It basically we escaped the room with 10 minutes to spare, and we only needed one hint, and it was mostly because of just it was mostly just like a logistics of how to be able to do a specific task. We knew that there was these paintings on the wall, and if you sort of like feel around for it, if you touch one of them, it actually like you can hear a piano chime or a piano key, and it's kind of like not really a spoiler, but it's fine. Basically, it had different it had different notes. That there were 3 posters that you had to find sort of the placement or to be able to push the button to be able to play these notes. We thought that you had to play them in a specific order because there was another puzzle that you had to sort of play a certain tune in a specific order. But the hint that we got was we had to play them at the same time. We had to push the buttons at the same time, and that's what opened up the next little puzzle. So I was like, oh, okay. So once we got that, it was just smooth sailing up pretty much after that. And I actually was able to contribute, which I was kind of happy about. There were definitely several moments where I kind of felt where I just like I don't know whether it just maybe helps, like there was some parts of the puzzle that I solved, but it was definitely very much a group effort. Like we were all working together on it, so I don't think it was really anyone individually kind of did something. It was just basically we all worked together, and I was very happy with the result. I was the one who actually was able to open up the last little lock to open up the treasure chest, and to kind of notify that we won. And yeah, it was really cool. It was like a Robin Hood sort of Sherwood Forest kind of theme, which is pretty cool. And then so then we went back to my friend's place, and we decided to play or not play. We decided to just, it was like a little like get together, had some snacks, drinks, and just kind of like just had fun, kind of getting together. But we did get several of us addicted to the Pokemon trading card game, Pokemon Pocket. And I think actually if I still have I have an hour left before I can actually open up a pack. I thought I could be able to open it up now. Well, actually, no, I can. Hold on, I am gonna do it. So instead of waiting an hour, I figured we could open up a pack together. No, shoot, I opened up the wrong pack. Well, I chose the wrong pack anyway. I wanted to get the Charmander sort of pack, but I guess I can't do it anyway. So we're gonna open it up together, okay? So I'm gonna do a quick spin. Okay, and we're gonna land on that. Okay, I'm gonna try to. All right, we're gonna swipe. We're gonna swipe to open. Here we go. That's so satisfying, by the way. All right, so we've got a Ralts, which is a new card for me. We got a Krabby. We got a Chinkino. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. And that's actually a two diamond. I'm okay with that. We got a Ponyard. And then lastly, a Golurk. There we go. Okay, so not necessarily the best pulls. I got one new card out of the deal, which I'm okay with. I have officially 290 cards, by the way. And I have completed one full deck. I think it was the Bulbasaur deck. I'm not 100% sure which one. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway. So yeah, I think I'm kind of getting addicted to the Pokemon grind. I've never played the Pokemon game before, and I was never a collector of the Pokemon cards, even though a lot of my friends kind of had done that. But it was kind of one of those. I'm just I figured I'd download it and give it a try, and then it just basically and it just. I don't know. I was just I kind of got addicted to the opening the packs. I started getting into the actual game of it, the solo play, and I started to kind of, at least I understand kind of now how it works, and I was like, okay, I think I kind of get it. However, though, I want to show you something. Last night I was able to get it. Like I had enough. I was able to complete a challenge that gave me enough to open up a 10-pack. And I'm not going to show you all the cards I got because it was a lot of cards. However, I did pick me up a Charizard EX card. Now here's the thing. You know what's cool about these cards? They have a really cool animation. So if I tap and hold, watch. Look at that cool animation. And the song too is pretty, yeah. Like it goes through all the EX Pokemon in this cool like 3D like still frame. And then it just shows you the Charizard. Like that is pretty cool. Like that's an evolution to the Pokemon game, because man, oh man, was that satisfying, like opening up that pack and getting that. So I actually did get what was cool too actually was my friend Steve last night. He actually recorded me opening up these packs, and I'm gonna skip to the moment where we actually open up the Charizard pack. So here we go.
Yes! Wow. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's
Psyduck. It's
all of the EXs. It goes through all of them.
Wow.
Oh, let me back it up just to get the moment just before opening it. Here we go.
I got a bunch of that.
No way!
I now get it. I now get why people are excited about opening up these packs. I am probably not gonna do it I'm probably not gonna do it like actually get by the individual packs like physically, but I can see the appeal. So anyway, that was sort of my experience. Like that's kind of, I guess, in a sense, like kind of what Steve is playing right now. I'm currently playing the Pokemon trading card game Pokemon Pocket. So anywho, I figured let's just jump into the news then. Anyway, if you download the Pokemon card, if you actually have downloaded the Pokemon Pocket app and you've unlocked a bunch of cards or unpacked a bunch of cards, let me know what was your best pull. I'm very curious about that. All right, first story up for the day. This one is coming from Darren Bonthies? I apologize, I'm butchering that name. Over at GameSpot, Microsoft was stupid to close Arkane Austin and lose its dream team, Arkane founder says. Arkane founder Rafael Colantonio. Yeah, Colantonio. Rafael Colantonio has commented on Microsoft shutting down Arkane Austin earlier this year, a decision the Wolf-Eye Studios boss has labeled a dumb move made by the company. According to the veteran game developer, Arkane Austin was comprised of a special group of people who had the potential to make another hit game but never got the chance to do so following the poorly received Redfall. I think if you look a little bit, it's obvious that Arkane Austin was a very special group of people that have made some cool things and that could pull it off again, Colantonio said to PC Gamer. Recreating a very special group like this, that is, I would dare to say, impossible. It takes forever. When you have that magic of Harvey Smith and Ricardo Bear that all come together, it's a specific moment in time and space that just worked out this way, that took forever to reach. Those people together can really make magic. It's not like doesn't matter, we'll just rehire. No, try it. That's what the big groups do all the time. They try to hire massively and overpay people to create those magic groups. It doesn't work like this. So to me, that was stupid. Antonio left the company he created after the release of the critically acclaimed Prey in 2017, citing creative differences in a separate PC Gamer interview. All I can tell you is that part of the reason why I left Bethesda was that they did not want to do the kind of games that we wanted to make. Antonio said, explaining that Bethesda had decided to shift towards making more live service games back then. While Arkane Austin is no more, Deathloop developer Arkane Leon is still in action and is currently working on Marvel's Blade. Alpha Dog Games, Roadhouse Games, and Tango Gameworks were also shut down in May, but a few months later. Okay, then we're just sort of recapping everything. Now, I don't normally kind of read these kind of stories because, in essence, it's sort of like, if it comes across as cranky, older game dev, basically mad at big company for ruining their previous company. That's how a lot, like, sometimes like these kind of like it's like, it's almost like who cares? Like, why would we care about the opinion of someone who left, who is gone, and hasn't been with the company in obviously in this case like 7 years, where the company's definitely changed since then. Now, granted, he does bring up a good point. Trying to be able to create a team that works extremely well together is not necessarily next to impossible, but it is it is difficult because not everyone can be able to mesh well together. There are definitely sometimes some politics that are involved in certain cases. Not politics as in like, you know, politics, but like politicking within sort of studios, like how to properly navigate leadership, essentially. But the thing that kind of like it sort of puts a little bit of a red flag in it is when he talked about Colantonio said about like after like that he thought it was a dumb move, basically, that they could have made a great game. This is after the failure of Redfall, and here's the thing. It's not that I don't think that he's wrong. I think that I honestly like Arkane Austin, and I would say even with Tango Gameworks being like shut down the same day, that is probably the most extreme thing you can be able to do to a studio who had a failure. Tango not obviously being one of them, but Arkane Austin, you could definitely argue that it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to basically say, okay, Redfall didn't work. Okay, yeah, shut down the studio. It's the worst kind of reasoning to give, but it's not like when if you look at the news story of the studios being shut down, it's like, oh, Arkane Austin, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It sucks. It absolutely sucks, but it makes sense. But that's the thing with Microsoft is that I don't think it's like they would cancel first and then kind of ask questions later. But I don't know what they could have done to be able to recoup that cost that was put into Redfall. Redfall was supposed to be kind of like one of Xbox's kind of like bigger like launch titles for the Series X, the kind of that sort of pushing for Game Pass, pushing for like kind of that this is the momentum that we're now building for Xbox overall. And Redfall kind of failed in that regard. It's not to say that there was that it was the team's fault. Sometimes it could be many decisions that are made, especially the higher up position that essentially the blame could be put on. But I think I don't know financially what a Microsoft could have done other than basically making the team smaller and laying off, but that would have meant laying off people, but keeping the studio open. Like there's a cost saving measure in closing a studio, an immediate cost saving measure. You're not having to pay payroll. You're not having to pay property fees for location. Like there's a lot of immediate costs that are already taken off the books by closing a studio. And some of which is yeah, but I think that from a creative standpoint, did I think that Arkane Austin should have been shut down? No, because there is something special there, as Colantonio said. Like if they had that kind of something special there, you want to keep that team together. and it just seemed that the higher ups didn't realize that. And so that's where I would believe Colantonio, like in this sense, he recognized what that team had done and recognized that there was something special there, and it just one project didn't hit, but it didn't mean throw the baby out with the bathwater, with the bathwater, that kind of thing. So I wanted to at least mention it's kind of one of those. I don't know if it kind of comes across as like, oh, angry, like, cranky old game dev, but also in a sense like he is right to a certain degree. So anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. All right, moving on to the next story. Dragon Age the Veilguard tops the Steam charts, breaks BioWare's concurrent player record. This is by Chris Scullion over at VGC. The latest game from EA, BioWare has entered Steam's own top seller list, knocking Call of Duty Black Ops 6 off the top. Chart data on SteamDB shows that the game, which was released on Thursday, reached a peak of 70,414 concurrent players with its first 24 hours on sale. This makes it the most popular Steam launch for any game in BioWare's history, the previous being Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which had a highest ever peak of 59,817 players. It's also one of the higher peaks for any single-player EA game, beating out the Star Wars Jedi games, but so far it falls short of Need for Speed Heat, which had a maximum peak of 86,196, and The Sims 4, which had a peak of 96,328. I love this. So let's take a look actually at the SteamDB charts right now. So currently there are 56,072 players currently playing this game right now. There are 70. Its 24-hour peak was 70,414. So it was all-time peak 17 hours ago. Did it actually mention that in this article? 70,004. Yeah. So within the first 24 hours. Okay. That's awesome. That is awesome, and I love it because it basically is sending the trolls into a frenzy. Because they thought this game was gonna fail. They thought that this game was gonna suck because of woke DEI nonsense. Cheers to the BioWare devs. You made it. You did it. You're back. Now, granted, yes, I've talked about this before. The reviews of it are very kind of more solid 8s than necessarily 9s or 9s or 10s out of 10s. But I think that it's definitely this is what I've said. This is a great start for BioWare's comeback tour. As I said, essentially it's that like from John Wick. The question that BioWare is asking now is that people keep asking if we are back. And then I think that their next game is going to basically answer that question of saying, yeah, I think we are back. So I love this. It's just great. Congrats to EA and to BioWare on an amazing launch. I can't wait to jump into this. I do have the game. Again, it's like one of those, I have a review copy. I didn't get a chance to play it yet, but now I'm actually very interested in it. I'm also actually interested in creating a journal of sorts. I saw that this is something that actually that Greg Miller over at Kinda Funny had done for like some games, but specifically he did it for Dragon Age. And actually, if you're a member of the Kinda Funny Patreon, he actually put up the scanned 42-page section of his journal about Dragon Age. Now, granted, don't go read it or go look at it because if you don't want to be spoiled, because he kind of chronicles sort of his journey in it. And I kind of want to do the same thing, but I kind of want to do it in a way that it makes sense to me. Because for me, writing stuff down, it's like I don't mind it, but I like, I like talking. So I thought about maybe making an audio journal and then putting that up somewhere, maybe putting it up on the Patreon. So if you're not subscribed to Patreon, patreon.com/Steve Saylor, maybe creating like a little audio journal of sorts for specific games. Because I've been wanting to be able to do that for Metaphor ReFantazio, because I've been wanting to jump back into that. And I want to be able to at least reference like stuff that I may have missed, or maybe not. I want to go back to and be like, okay, what actually happened in this? I don't know. What do you think? What would you like? Do you want a journal? Do you want to be able to like kind of journal your way through a game? Have you done that before? Are you interested? Let me know in the comments. I would be very curious because I'm kind of wanting to do that myself, and I'm kind of just figuring out kind of like what would work best for me to be able to journal. Like, do I get a journal? Like, I've got a bunch of journal books, like blank journals I could basically just write in if I want to do that. But I kind of like the idea of maybe just doing like voice notes almost to a certain degree. Like, keep it very lo-fi, like not even just jumping on here and just recording, like keeping it lo-fi, just kind of making voice notes of where I'm at the game. And it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be like super whatever. Just like super kind of quick notes of certain moments. And maybe putting that up like as a I don't know. What do you think? Like, do you think it's like, I don't want to commit myself to making content, but let me know in the comments. I'll be very, very curious to hear your thoughts on it. Anywho, again, congrats EA, congrats BioWare on a successful launch. So, and then lastly, this is coming from Chris Scullion at VGC again. PlayStation CEO says PS5 Pro was a 5-year project. Development started before PS5 launch, which is kind of weird. Sony's console was released on November 19th, 2020, but according to Sony Interactive Entertainment's platform business group CEO Hideki Nishino, the development on its mid-generation upgrade had already started before then. We have done Pro in the last generation, Nishino said, told Variety. We learned a lot from there. When we were selling PS4 Pro in addition to the PS4, 20% of customers actually got the PS4 Pro. It was high-end, it was premium tier, so there are potential users acquiring these kinds of units. Interestingly enough, it was not just about highly engaged users, actually. Highly engaged users. Actually, new users came to PlayStation to get PS4 Pro as well. So we started working on PS5 Pro even before PS5 launched. It was another 5-year project for us. So there was a conversation around whether we wanted to do another Pro or not. But the main thing was there are technologies we can grow up in 3 years' time or 5 years' time. So the innovation and technology advancement is more quicker in a modern world. Phones are updating every year. PCs are updating every year. I don't think we go every year updates, but there are things that we can package together to bring the greatest things into the game console segment range. So that's the vision. Nishino added that Sony never releases new hardware without already planning what its successor could end up becoming. We're kind of happy to see that most engaged gaming users are interested in the PS5 Pro, and then I'm pretty sure new users will grab the PS5 Pro as well. He said, if it's the PlayStation you want to get, that's the thing. So that's where we designed the generation at this moment. We designed everything with having one ahead in our mind. It's not like we just make a next step and we don't know about the 2 steps ahead. That's not our way of working, because we need to make sure that the 10-year old generation cycle continues to be going as well. This is interesting. I'm very interested into like now understanding the reasoning as to why the development started before they released the PS5. Now knowing that, okay, yeah, the PS4 Pro sold well, and they were in the middle of seeing that happening. Like by the time that they were working on it, essentially they would have still been selling PS4 Pros. So I think in essence, it was a good idea to be able to okay, you know what? Hey, if we're going to be launching the PS5, which is already just about to release, let's look into a PS5 Pro. And now that makes sense. Like kind of giving that it, like, even though it is sort of a not necessarily clickbaity title of just that fact that it was already in development before the PS5 launch. Now knowing the full story, yeah, that makes sense. Like development, it takes time, and it's not like that they've been working on this like since 2020. They've been working on it obviously for 5 years. So if that's the case, PS5 Pro is coming out this year, so they would have started this in 2019, at least in early development. So the PS5 was already kind of in that almost, it was almost ready for launch. It was a year out from launch, so that makes sense. I think that totally makes sense. I think that it probably is not as big of an upgrade as, say, from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro. Yeah, probably not. And I think that could be like part of the reason as to why they decided to kind of work on the PS5 Pro before people's reaction to the PS5, because right now it just looks like the PS5 Pro is not necessarily a huge upgrade compared to the PS5, and it's like kind of like one of those people are saying, what's the point? I think even now, knowing the full story of them working on the PS5 Pro before the launch, I think that kind of might have done maybe PlayStation a little bit of a disservice. Like, I would have probably waited to see what consumer feedback would have been on the PS5, and then make those solid decisions about a PS5 Pro, about what they would want to be able to upgrade. But that's just me. I'm playing armchair business dev in that sense. So I'm not definitely the right person to be able to talk about it. But I think speculating in that, I think waiting a little bit longer to see what players had kind of wanted from like what they liked and what they disliked about the PS5. I think it probably could have done them a better service, because the PS4 Pro, I like was more a reaction to people's feedback on the PS4. So, because in the PS5, like from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro, the Pro version is not just sort of just a little bit of an incremental upgrade. Like he's sort of talking about cell phones and PCs and that they're updating every year. The thing is that you're not really innovating that much if you're updating every single year. So he is sort of like, but he is kind of like saying he's not ruling out of the picture, as I think is the point I'm trying to say, is that he's not ruling the idea of it out of the picture. But I think they're not taking into account what players have wanted. The reason why the PS4 Pro was successful was because it fixed some of the problems that the PS4 had. PS4 is still a solid console, but if you wanted a premium experience, you get the PS4 Pro. I don't know whether or not the PS5 Pro is going to be the same for the PS5, because I still have my original launch review unit of my PS5. I would love to be able to get a PS4 Pro or PS5 Pro at some point. I don't think I'm going to get one. I don't think let's say this: I'm not lined up to be able to get a review unit at this point. It'd be great, but I'm not sort of banking on it. But with the review unit, I haven't had any issues. It's like barely any issues at all. Like actually, I have that and also the review unit of my Xbox Series X, and I haven't had any issues with that either. But I have heard other people, like my friends, that have had a few minor issues with their consoles. So I don't know. Is it worth an upgrade? Do you think, like, if you take away the price, just remove the price aspect out of the equation? The question I want to ask is, do you think that the PS5 Pro is a considerable upgrade, like something that you would look at and be like, yes, that makes sense to upgrade to a PS5 Pro? Or if you're looking to be able to buying a PS5, do you think that you would go with a cheaper option, like now bringing in the price, would you go with the cheaper option of the PS5 versus the PS5 Pro? Or do you just go for the latest and greatest one and know that that's going to last you quite a while? Do you go basically more thrifty with basically buying the PS5, or do you go for the premium, which is the PS5 Pro, knowing that like that's the PS5 that's going to be yours? Like you didn't have any other PS5 before. Let me know in the comments. I would very curious to hear about that. So, all right, I think that is going to be it for today's episode. A little bit of a long one, but that's fine. Yeah. That is going to be it for also not only for this week, but also this is going to be the last episode at home for the next week again, because I am going to be, well, actually, wait, no, I should probably say there probably might be an evening tea with Steve from Sunday night for Monday morning, because I'll be flying Monday morning. But I do have enough time to be able to potentially do an evening tea with Steve. Depends on how how my weekend goes, how much I need to pack, that kind of thing. So yeah. But I want to thank you all for bearing with me these past few weeks of traveling. You got one more week of traveling for me for the next little bit, and then we're back to relative normalcy again with being at home. But that's kind of the update for right now. So basically, yeah, Monday I'm flying back for another trip, and I won't be back until probably I think the 10th or 11th. I haven't decided when I'm coming home yet. I don't have actually my return ticket yet. Don't know if I'm flying, if I'm getting the ride home. I don't know. I know I should probably book that today. Anyway, I probably will. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, if you want to be able to subscribe to this channel, I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you want the audio exclusive version, you can be able to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Steve Saylor, and you can be able to, if you become a paid supporter, you can be able to get the audio version of the show sent to your podcast catcher of choice. So, yeah. All right. Take care. Have a great one. Have a great weekend. And I will see you all Monday, I guess. Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, potentially Monday. Yeah. Anyway, bye.